Hello friends and enemies, welcome back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my May high lows, disappointments. It's a weird month of reading for me because I feel like I read a lot. I did not read is a thing, but I also didn't read a lot of stuff that I was like, this is awful, this is amazing. I read a lot of mid-tier books as I've continued my hockey journey, which is not surprising because I know there's a lot of okay hockey books and there's a lot of fun ones and there's a lot that just don't always work for me. But we're going to dive right in with my stats for the month. So let's talk about what I read and what that amounts to. So I read 24 books total for a total of 5,867 pages. My average rating was a 4.58, which it is high this month because the 5 Yona volumes I read were 6 stars and that really bumped it. I read a couple other manga that were 6 stars for me, so it definitely made the amount higher. I listened to about 20 hours of audiobooks, which is kind of low for me, honestly. I read 8 KU titles. Hello, KU check-in coming soon? This month you're getting one. And I've got 3 surprises and 2, I guess we're going to call highs. Because I was I gotta pick something to talk about. Otherwise this video is going to be 5 minutes. But yeah, let's dive into my lows. My low this month was The Debutante's Curse by Jessica Cain. I picked this up because the plot summary whatever on Amazon for this is bananas. She's being debuted and she's adopted and her adopted dad and her adoptive brother want to fuck her, and then there's this guy that she was in a foster home with that also wants to have sex with her, and it culminates in all of them having to please her to break this curse. And it was not so when I read a Jessica Cain, I'm not expecting gold, okay? I'm not expecting an amazing read always, but this didn't hit the points I normally enjoy in a Jessica Cain book personally. So that's what makes it disappointing. I'm going there looking for a specific thing and all I got here was a really weird story and not even that great of sex. So I'm going to call it a disappointment for me. So yeah, I'll probably read, there's a couple Jessica Cains I still want to read and then I might just call it quits with her. Yeah. Then surprises. So my members pick this month was Appetites and Vices by Felicia Grossman. This is my first book by her and it will not be my last. I'm calling this a surprise because it's a historical and we know I don't read a ton of historicals. I did read 2 this month. Wild. So I really enjoyed this. I had a fun time with the time period setting. I had a fun time with how Felicia interweaved the Jewish identity of our female main character here with the culture and the atmosphere. I thought it kind of gave a good look at how pervasive anti-Semitism is, and when you know about it, how much you'll see it in things. But also, if you're unfamiliar, I feel like it gives you a good option of reading this and seeing things that you maybe wouldn't have noticed. I hope that makes sense. I really liked this though. Overall, beyond that, I think we had a really great hero in this who was a widow and dealing with an opium addiction from trying to run from his problems, and a heroine who had secrets that she didn't even know about getting exposed. And I really enjoyed where that went in the 3rd act. It was somewhere I wasn't expecting and I was happy with. I also enjoyed, haven't read this and you like books set in America during that time period, I really enjoy American set historicals, so we don't get a ton of them. So it's something that I always find refreshing to read in the very least. But I do want to give some quick content notes for this one, just so everyone's prepared. There is some ableism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, slut-shaming, addiction situations. Death of a parent from cancer is talked about on page. It does not happen on page, but it is talked about on page. There's also death of a spouse and child from illness. So go in prepared. I didn't feel like any of it was too much from myself at least, but I just want anyone who picks this up to be prepared. But yeah, I think this was really fun, and if you're looking for a different historical, this is a great option. Then I read Until I Get You by Claire Contreras, and I'm really glad I did. So the reason I put this in surprises is that I really did enjoy this, but this was an interesting mixture of a dark romance and a hockey book all in one. And I really liked how Claire weaved that story together, and it surprised me at the end of the day how well she weaved it together and how much I liked it. Because here's the thing. Claire writes dark romances, and I want to read more books from Claire. I have another one I just got for free recently I'm going to read. And I was oh my gosh, this sounds really interesting. And it was. So it's a girl who basically ends up vanishing after meeting this guy, and they have this fling of sorts because she has a stalker. He's not that stalker. I do feel like I need to clarify he is not the stalker in this situation. So she vanishes, and then he goes off and plays hockey professionally, and then retires and hunts her down and finds her again and does what he needs to do for them to be back together. And it's a whole thing, and it was just really interesting how it all played out overall, and I really appreciated, I liked the reveals of it because I didn't really see coming who was her stalker and the person who has been terrorizing her for years. So when that reveal happened, I was like, oh, it's that person, because I truly did not expect it. So I was really, really pleased with this. I think it just like worked really well. It was just a really fun book, and I had a good time. It ended up being like a 4 for me. Like, it was a solid dark romance mixed with a sports romance, if that makes sense. Like, it had a nice balance of the both. So, and then last is one of my non-romance reads I picked, which is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. So I loved Four Aunties and a Wedding, or no, Dial for Aunties. I still need to read Four Aunties and a Wedding. And I picked this up because my mom and I both want to read it, and it came in from the library, so we picked it. I read it, she read it, and then I did. And I listened to this a lot while I was at Disney this month, or last month, and I giggled so much at this book. It is absolutely ridiculous. You are following an older woman who runs a tea shop that she calls it Vera Wang's Tea Shop, instead of Vera Wong, which is her name. And she finds a body in her tea shop, and she does things, this is in the beginning, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling it, like outline the body for the police because she thinks she's helping. But she kind of takes it upon herself to solve this murder and start fixing people up and repairing a lot of friendships. This had a really fun found family element in it that I was not expecting, and I was just really happy I read it, and I had such a blast. I think Jessie, for me, her writing really works. I find it funny, I find it snappy. It's quirky, but not for the sake of being quirky, if that makes sense. Like, her characters in and of themselves feel like people I could meet in real life, but they would be the people I walk away from going, huh, you're an interesting character. You know, like, they're those kind of people, and those people exist in real life. I've met them. People probably think I'm that sometimes, so it's fine. But yeah, I really liked that. My highs this month, unsurprising, the general high this month for me was the mood reading I've done and Journey of Hockey Romances, because even when I don't love them, I somehow devour them in like a day or a night, 2 nights. I don't know how, but I'm here and it's happening, and we're riding the wave, you know, like, and I'm okay with it. I really truly am okay with it. So on that note, obviously I've read a lot I didn't like, and I just kind of picked my 3 faves of the month so far, or of last month, really. Again, I do plan to tier rank like all the hockey books once I feel like I've read enough to tier rank a bunch, so we'll do that at some point. It'll be a fun time, I think. But Sunny Disposition by Deanna Gray was delightful, and I really liked this because I was so nervous about the not quite catfishing element, but kind of catfishing element of this, because our heroine and hero knew each other online, didn't know that was who the other one was. And the way that came about being shared worked for me really well. I think it was done nicely. It didn't feel gross. It didn't feel like he was taking advantage of her. It also was a theme somehow for me this month in hockey books I read. So there's that. I also really enjoyed the face sitting in this one. I thought that was spectacular and really fun. I think it's just a fun college hockey romance at the end of the day. It's not going to be groundbreaking for most people, and it doesn't need to be, but it is exactly what it sets out to do really well. And I'm here for that. The other one is going to be my 2 Tegan Hunters that I read and loved. So one is Glove Save and one is The Neutral Zone. So I read The Neutral Zone first, which is the latest and last book in this series. You can start in any order. These are interconnected standalones, okay? So you're not missing anything because it's romance. You already know people are going to end up with other people. For me, honestly, reading The Neutral Zone first, I thought was really great because I kind of got to meet a lot of the team, and I already had met some of the main characters because these last 2 books, I don't know if the 3rd book is the other sister, like, not the 3rd book, but like if I went back in backwards order, the next one would be the sister. So one of the sisters owns a donut truck. Her sister Stevie works in the donut truck, and then their friend Rosie also works in the donut truck. Rosie is in Neutral Zone with Fitz, who is a tooth missing, like, adorable disaster of an introvert. He has a cat. He, like, runs off on their first date because his cat traps himself in the pantry, and she traps herself in the pantry, and he has to go get them out and doesn't explain why, and he just bolts. It's not really first, like, they're talking and he just, like, bolts. It's a whole thing. Really, really funny. And we just have, like, honestly, the most unique hero I've read in a hockey book to date. Hockey heroes tend to be pretty possessive, jealous, alpha male types, we'll call it. And Fitz was the exact opposite. Like, he is just a soft, sweet introvert. He heads into voyeurism, which I really enjoyed that element. I thought it was really fun to read. I've really enjoyed reading that this year, which is a surprise for me. But who knows? Maybe I'll have enough for a rec video soon. But yeah, it was just really fun. And I think he just was so unique and different to read that it was really refreshing. And Tegan's writing to me is very much like cotton candy writing, right? And that is the biggest compliment, right? It is like a book that you just start reading and you look up and you're done, or you're 50% through and you don't even realize how you got there. And that is amazing. When a writer does that, I'm in heaven. Like, I love a book that I just like look down, start reading, look up, oh shit, it's 2 a.m. Like, favorite thing. Favorite feeling ever. So that's what these books gave me. Because then I went back to the next book, which is Glove Save. And this is our grumpy goalie and Stevie, the sister of the donut truck owner. And this is her romance. She's a single mom. He ends up, like, he's like, he doesn't like kids, he says, but ends up, like, really taking a liking to Stevie's daughter, Macy, in, like, a really sweet way, like, training her to be a goalie and play hockey and teaching her to skate and all this stuff. And it's just precious. I really liked the dynamic. She's a huge fan of the team and, like, gives him shit to no end, calls him jackass, and her mom lets her, which is also really funny to me because he kind of is a jackass. But, like, he's just, like, kind of a dumb himbo. Like, he's a himbo. Like, that's kind of what he reminds me of, right? Like, it's not even that he's, like, emotionally unintelligent. He just doesn't think about anything, and he's just, like, here existing. And I'm like obsessed with him. I think he was just so fun. I'm really liking goalie books right now. There's not a ton, so that's a thing too. But either way, I like Greer and Stevie were delightful. And so was her daughter. So I just was really, really happy to read this and see how it played out. It was really cute and fun and just perfection. So I've already checked out the next book in the series to, like, start from the beginning to read through in June. But yeah, those are my highs. Like I said, it was a weird reading one because I read a lot, but I also didn't read a lot that I was like, this I can't wait to talk about. So here we are. If you want more details, obviously things are in my blogs. But I don't really have anything else. So let me know what your favorite thing was that you read in the month of May. If you don't want to do that, leave me a flower emoji of your choice because May flowers. And I will be back in just a few days with my next video, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we wait.